Yep. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday we learnt about some Bootstrap classes for designing forms and elements. So have you tried those classes? Bootstrap related some classes we learnt. So Bootstrap classes for designing forms, we discussed about how to use container classes. We have margin, we have padding, and we have border, and we have another one. What is it? Button. So these are the Bootstrap classes we discussed in previous session. By using these classes, we can design in a more faster way, because these classes are ready-made, defined with styles. You have to apply these classes, but to use these classes, you already learned the basic. You need to download and install what? Bootstrap. And you need one CSS file, bootstrap.css. Yesterday I showed you where it is present, how to link that. You need Bootstrap icons and this Bootstrap CSS. So yesterday we learned up to button classes. How do we design buttons? Various button classes are present. So these are all the button related different styles I showed you. So we have like button toolbars, we have like button groups, and different contextual buttons also there. So these are all the button related different styles. Yesterday already I explained these button styles. How to get these styles, what are the various classes used for them. Button styles and button related size, outline, contextual and all. Next, after understanding the buttons, now you need to learn another important about the Bootstrap form classes. You need to know about the Bootstrap form classes. So Bootstrap have some important classes. These classes are related to forms. So what are these Bootstrap form classes? Let's see. Actually, we have the classes like form label. This is the class used for element like label. If you are designing a label, label have a ready-made class called form label. How it works, I will show you. And you have a class called form control. Form control, it is used for text box, it is used for email, for number, for date, URL, password, text area, and whatever string inputs are there. So string related any input, you can configure as form control. So you are designing a text box, you are designing a password or a number or a date or URL, email. For all of them, only one class is enough. So what is that class? Form control. If you are designing, we have an option form control color. This is used for input type color. You have form control file. This is used for input type file. We have form select. It is used for drop down and a list box. We use form select. We have form range. Form range is used for input type range. We have form check input. This is used for radio and checkbox. We have form check label. This is used for label for checkbox and radio. These are the classes, and we have form switch. Form switch. This is used for checkbox and radio container. What does that mean? Checkbox and radio container means the container that have a checkbox and radio. So that means this is not applied for checkbox. It is applied for whom? It is not applied for checkbox. It is applied for whom? The container that contains checkbox. In which container? Container means what? Container means it may be a div or a span or a data definition, any paragraph, anything. So these are the Bootstrap classes used for working with forms. So to design forms, these are enough. I will show you how they work actually. So how these form class used, let's see. I will create a simple page by name Bootstrap form elements HTML. Here, in order to use Bootstrap and icons form elements, I am linking relation style sheet and href. It is one is node modules, Bootstrap icons, font, Bootstrap icons.css. Yesterday we downloaded one more Bootstrap. It is present in href, where it is present node modules, Bootstrap dist css, bootstrap.css. These are the two files we need. And remember, when you are linking CSS files, there is no order for them. For CSS files, there is no order. That means you can link first icons, later Bootstrap, or link Bootstrap, then icons. But later when you are linking JavaScript files, order will be there. That means when you link CSS, there is no order. But when you link JavaScript, you must follow order. If you miss the order, that means by mistake one file you attached after another file, which is not correct order, then the script will not work. CSS, we don't have problem. There is no order, you can put anything. So now in the body, I am giving the class. For the body, I am giving the class container what? Fluid. Because you saw yesterday, automatically some margin padding is removed. So we will add container fluid. Yesterday we discussed different containers. I will show you here text box or email or number, so or password, how these type of URL and all, how these are designed. I will create a simple data list, data term. Here I said some user name. Let's keep this in a form. Okay. And this is having the name option is configured, right? What's the problem? Name is there. Yeah. So username is defined. Anyone? Yeah. It is a username, and go to the text box here. We have input type is equal to text. We will create another one. So password and the data definition input type is equal to what? Password. And we will create another one, email, and data definition input type is email. And I will keep another one, some age, and input type is equal to number. Like this we have. Let's run this and see. Initially, we are not designing the form, just basic I am telling you. Now these are the text box, password box, email, and number. For all of these, the class same. That means to give a good appearance, you see, you can apply the class form control. You can just define. When I give form control, you see the difference here. The text box becomes this large, and it is automatically having some border on focus. That is a bootstrap text box, and it fits the window. Then what we will do is here, we will define the form, have a class width 25. Then you can see that the form width is 25. It will be like this. This is username, password, email, age, all same classes. That means you have to apply for password. Which class we need to define? Form control. And for email, which class? Form control. And for number, also same. What it is? Form control. And you can see that all of them will be uniform in appearance: name, password, email, and age. So by default, Bootstrap have some appearance for text boxes, emails, numbers, and passwords. For that, you can just define like this. We can add like this. So this is one set of classes. I will copy this and I will put an example here. Now we will see how the color, file, drop down, range, all these options work. Let's do one more here. So for example, you are dealing with color, or you are dealing with range, or you are dealing with file. We have different classes for them. Let's see. Suppose I defined select color, and select color, I defined here input type is equal to color. You know, we have a color input. So this is color. We have another term. What it is? Suppose we have range. For range, we are defining input type is equal to range. And another term, we have file. Suppose your photo, something. And input type is equal to file. Okay. Another, so your city. Suppose this is a drop down. Drop down is a select. Select will have an option. We have Delhi. So we have option Hyderabad like this. So I will put here the basic appearance, file, select, all these. Now see the appearance for this. They look like this. You see the color, range, photo, and city. Let's apply the classes. You will not find much difference in file and color. They are just having a basic effect. So for color, what is the class we can apply? Form, what is that? Color, form, control, color. That is the color. You can see little bit border margins and change. So I given a wrong name, form, control, color. Yeah. So this is the color, form, control, color. There is another one. You can see little bit changed in the appearance. If I don't give the class, observe, if I don't give that class, you can see there is no much padding around the color, right? If I apply that class, you will see that automatically some padding comes around the color. That basic difference you will see. This is the color. Okay, let's see range. For range, you have a special class. We can apply the class called form range. Form range, you can see automatically it changes the appearance little bit. That means its appearance changed a little bit. Blue dot with some shade and effects it will display. This is form range. Without that, how it looks like? Without this, it looks like this. And by adding that class, it is going to look like this. A little change in the appearance. So you have file, another option. For file, we are having a class. What is it? Form control, form file actually. Form control file. Yeah, control and file. That is there. This is form control file. And you will see there is no much change, but little change in space, font style and all, because element is same, only the font size, spacing, padding will be changed. Same like you saw for color, how it changes the padding and all. What about drop down? You see there is a drop down. For drop down, what is the class we have to apply? Form select. Automatically it will change the appearance in this way. This is a drop down. Ordinary drop down looks very normal and simple. This is the drop down using form. So you have special classes for colors, special class for range, and you have a special class for file and drop down. For drop down or list box, you have to use the same option. What is it? Form select. You have to use form select. This is another example. This is the example for the other elements. Let me copy. Now let's see how radios and checkboxes will work. You have separate classes for radio, and you have a checkbox, and we have what? Label. Let's see them, how to help. Actually, the design is little different now. I told you traditional design. Traditionally, how a form is designed with some basic elements I told you. Every category must be kept in a div. This div will have a label. In the label, you mention some gender. After that, you have another div. In this div, we are using radio. Input type is what? Radio. Name is equal to gender. And here beside it, we will put a label. This is male. Similarly, we have another female. These are the options. This is radios. Now we will see another one. I will create another container. This container, we have a label. I defined as suppose courses. And here I defined a div, and I will create an checkboxes like options. I will use input type equal to checkbox, and checkbox also have a label, and this is like some Java. Let's put another one. We will do one thing here. We will keep in a unordered list and a list item like this we are adding. Now we will use another list item. We are just adding some courses. So like this, we are adding some courses. Now let's see. These are radios and checkboxes. Usually form looks like this. Usually form look like this. This is gender. You can select male or female. These are the courses. You can select checkboxes like this. Now what are the special classes you have for radios? Let's see. For radio, we have to use a class. What is it? Form check input. We have to use form check input. Form check input is the class used for radio. And observe now, automatically the radio have a different appearance. This radio is different from this radio. Even in selection also, when I click, it shows some blue shade. And this radio is ordinary. This is the bootstrap radio. We can change the appearance by adding the class. So for radios, what is the class you need to apply? Form check do. Okay, now you can see both radios are fine. And see, there is a label here. I will apply a class for this label. This label will have a class. Class is form label. We have form label. Form label, have you observed any difference? Is there any difference? You can see some margin is adjusted between the label and the content. Some gap is adjusted. Here label and content gap is not there. So you apply that class here. What is the class? Form what? Label. Form label will apply like this. Some gap will come. The label will have some gap below and above. It said that. And another important now. For labels that are defined for gender, male and female, for this different class we have to use. We have to use a class called form check label. For these, we have to use the class called form check label. Form check label is used for labels which are used for radios and checkbox. And you can see that form check label will have little bit different placement also. Some uniform gap, uniform alignments will be there. For that, you can add these options. One here, these are checkboxes now. For checkboxes, what are the classes? Same. For checkbox also, which class? Form check what? Input. Same class I applied for all checkboxes, and you can see all checkboxes will display like this. They change same like radios. Some blue shade and all appearance changed. This is for radio and this is for checkbox. One specialty is there. Let's see the specialty now. Yesterday I showed you this is the container. This is the container which is having the checkboxes. For these containers, I am applying a class. What is the class? Form switch is the class. When I apply form switch class for that container, then what happens here is you see all these turn into switches. These are the new checkboxes as I told you. I already showed you previously. That is simple. You have to put them in a container which have a class called form switch. So these are the new way of displaying checkbox. For radios, for example, here, this is the container for radios. We have a class form switch here. Form switch is defined and here also it will display. Radios also will behave because they use mutex mechanism. Out of these two, only one. Then make sure that you keep one below another because one beside another, overlapping the titles, right? We just kept one beside another. We will keep a BR break, then it will come one below another. These are how you define. This is the elements that you can configure using Bootstrap. Designing like this is very tough. It will take a lot of time. Just you apply a class, they will get that effect. So this is what we expect from our developers. Like, don't waste time, create good designs by using ready-made classes. This is the fastest way of designing good interface. This is about radios, checkboxes, and how to display them in a switch style, right? This is example for that. These are the important classes related to forms. I hope you understood all of them, right? So for text box, passwords, number, email, URL, you can simply say like string like input. What is the class to apply? Form control. For drop down, form select. For drop down, you have to use form select. And for radios and checkboxes, form check input. If you want to change their appearance for the container that is having that checkboxes and radio, you have to apply form switch. Remember, form switch you should not apply to checkbox, or you should not apply to radio. It is for the container that is having them. If you apply to checkbox or radio, it will not work. This is applied to the container. Actually, this was not there in earlier. Currently, you are learning Bootstrap, but remember, you are currently learning Bootstrap version 5, and companies are not still using version 5. Now recent projects, they started using version 5. Early versions were version 4, and version 5, version 4, lot of changes are there. So many new things are added. These kind of switches are not there earlier. Now we have them in Bootstrap 5 and higher version onwards. And so many new things are there in this version. So currently the version of Bootstrap which is latest is Bootstrap 5. The previous version is Bootstrap 4. So Bootstrap 5 have several new things which already I am discussing. We are learning about those options. These are all related to form. Now how to put a button, yesterday already we learned. How we can design a button, we already learned yesterday. So buttons have a lot of other classes you can apply. So labels, form label, others form control, specially color and file, different classes, drop down list box, which one, form select, sliders, which one you have to use, range, radio checkbox you have to use, form check input, labels for checkboxes you have to apply, and a container for checkbox and radios you have to use which one, switch. If you want appearance like switch, you have to, otherwise not required. These are basic form related options. You have another important related to form only. This is form input group classes. Two important classes are there. We have input group and we have input group SM or LG, and we have input group text. These are the three basic classes, but very effective. These are very much used in several websites regularly. These are the three basic classes we have. Input group SM, and input group LG, size, large and small. And we have input group text. Let's see how these work. Actually, what is the purpose is they are used to group a set of elements. They are used to group a set of elements and display in one line. They are used to group a set of elements and display in one line. Yesterday you learned button group. that button group is only for buttons, not for others. If other elements you want, you can define. These are nothing but size for group. And this is the label, labels used. This is nothing but labels used to highlight. If in input group, if any label you want to highlight, then you can use this. So labels used to highlight. It is not for label, but anything you want to use as label that you can define by using input group text. I will show you a simple concept here. So how we can configure input group and see. Let's see. And here in the form, I am creating a simple form. Okay, this form is having class. I am applying the class as a form W50, and inside the form margin, a heading also I will give. Heading is nothing but some Amazon search. Okay, so you see Amazon search bar. When you see Amazon search bar, in Amazon search bar, 3 elements are present. One is a drop down, another one is a text box, another one is button. So I am creating a drop down. This drop down have all. This drop down have like mobiles. Like this it can have. After that we have a text box. Input type is equal to text. After that we have a button. Button have a span. Class bi what? Search. Actually Amazon search bar contains like this. Usually Amazon search bar contains these 3 elements: drop down, text box, and button. We need to combine these. That means they are separated. We need to combine this. So to combine this, you have to just use, for this form, you have to apply a class called input group. If you apply input group, that means all the elements inside this container will group. Remember, inside form, if you kept a div, that div you can apply input group. That means which container have elements, to that container you need to apply. So when I apply input group, you can see the 3 look combined. Am I right? Now, this left one I want to highlight. The left drop down I want to highlight. Anything you want to highlight, you have to apply a class input group text. Input group text you need to apply. It will display like this. It will be little highlighted. And what is the class for text box and button? You tell now. For text box, what is the class to apply? For text box to apply, form control, that is the class to apply, right? For button, which class to apply? For button, different classes we have. I am using BTN and BTN warning. Warning is the class. Now it becomes an Amazon search bar. And in this text box, you have a placeholder. So search Amazon, amazon.in, like this I am defining, and you see that is how it looks like. This is a simple Amazon search bar that you see, and it is a combination of 3 elements combined together. So I given the width as 50. Suppose the width is 100, and you can see this is the Amazon search. Right? Usually the Amazon search looks like this. I just give 50 size enough. That is, this is input group. What is the purpose of input group? To combine all elements and show as one. And every element you can apply their classes. For text box class. For button classes. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's create another one like Netflix register. You saw Netflix register form. We designed by using divs and spans, but actually they are designed by using form. So you will see now form. Okay, class is W50. In this, in Amazon register, what you see, input type is what? Email. And you will have a placeholder called your email address. Email address is the placeholder. Beside that email, you will have a button. Button have a word called get started, and it will have a icon. What is that icon it is going to have? It is going to have an icon called BI chevron right. That is what actually chevron right is there. Yeah, this is the option. Usually you will see this is how it looks like. Netflix register looks like this, but its appearance is completely different. That means color, fonts and all. Just we can apply like this now. How to combine these two? To combine these two, we have to put them in a class called, what is it? Input group. Then they will be combined. After that, what is the class for email? What is the class for email? For email, which class we have to apply? Form control. What is the class for button? Class BTN, what the danger? And you see, this is the Netflix bar. That is a Netflix search. Earlier we used spans and divs because we don't know all this. That's very good, because without knowing, with the divs and spans, you created such design, means that's your good. That means that is testing your knowledge on styles. Correctly, are you placing or not? Alignments correctly coming or not? That's very important. So if you know that, this is very simple. You can easily handle this, right? Anywhere you see a set of contents combined, that is done by using this input group. We use in several ways. For example, see here. I will do one more here. Suppose you see another heading, some input group I will give here. Let's create a form. So again, the class W100, W50. In this, we are using a span, class BI, and BI, this is key fill. And after that, we have a text box, input type, password. And here we will put a placeholder, your password. After that, you have a button. The button is or here I kept another span. So class BI, so some square fill. We have circle fills, quick like this. They look like this, not one fill. I think we have a square fill. It will be like this. So BI square. Okay, this will be like this. Means you can put later tick marks and all, because use generally when password is correct, then they put a tick mark green like that dynamically. Now see here, these need to be combined. Just very simple. Suppose you have multiple, then you do like this. This is related to password. Then put all of them in one group, in one div. Similarly, I have another set related to user. I have another set, and in this, what we will do. So let's remove that. Yeah, I will copy this. I have another set. This is key fill. We will give person fill. So person fill. Okay, this is input type as what? Text. And here your username. Okay, this is another option we are having. We are having like this. And you see, between div, we will give some gap. That means class margin top as to combined with these text boxes. Usually what we do is we will simply apply the class. What is it? Input group. And the same here also input group. And you can see both are combined. But after combining, we need to highlight left and right. Then anything you want to highlight, you have to apply input group text. Right side I want to highlight, then input group what? Text. And you can see that they will highlight, they will display like this as a part. They are combined now. And what is the class for text box? For text box, we have to apply class. What is it? Form text box and all. This is an input group. So this input group is used for that. That means left side, you have some icon, right side, you have some other, right? So that is not regular requirement, depends, you can configure. So let's do this also. We have to configure this as what? Input group. Input group what? Text. Right side also we are giving input group. Input group is what? Text. And you can see that it will display in this way. And for text box, for this form what? Control. And it is going to apply that and display. That is the basic input that you will see in websites. In many websites, you will see that they will display combined contents, and that you can do by using input groups. These are all the Bootstrap classes for input group. Not only this, so many others are there. That means sometimes what we do, for example, here I am defining another class margin top 2. Suppose we have a span and we put here ampersand hash 8377 semicolon. This will put a rupee symbol. After that we have a text box, input type as text. After that we have span .00 like this I define. Usually it looks like this. And we want to keep them combined and show. Then usually what we do for that, for this we have to apply the class. So what is the class we have to use? Input group. And for this span, what we have to do? Input group what? Text. And for this span, input group what? Text. And you can see they look like combined. And for this text box, which one we have to use? Form control. And you can see that's how it will display. The value that you enter into the text box, and this looks combined. These are all different input groups. The search bars and the panels that you see side by side arranged looks like mixed. Because sometimes what people ask is, they think that there is a button inside text box. It's not possible. You cannot have a button inside text box. You can do that by changing its margins, padding and all. But really we don't do that. In a text box, we don't put any button. We put beside it and make it look like inside. That is by using which option? Input groups. By using input groups. Really, there will not be a text box with button inside. So this is just alignments and placements we do. And these classes will be very important for designing such things. Right? I hope you are clear in this. So what are the 3 classes we have for them? Input group SM, input group text. So these are the classes. Let's copy this. This example I will give you. First, for your understanding, I will give a syntax. In a container, you have to put the class input group. And if there is anything to highlight, then you have to put a class input group text. And you can have your elements and you can just put a span again with class as input group text, and we have some title. So that is the basic thing for form. And you can see, even after you give input group, sometimes they keep some gap between them. That means even input group is combining. After giving input group, they split them again. Sometimes they do that. Actually, Netflix does that. You see Netflix design. In Netflix design, usually what happens is, in the Netflix design, they keep an input group, but they keep this split. You see the design. This is Netflix page, and in this Netflix page, you see some gap is there, right? Some gap is there, right? That is nothing but, so you just define here. Suppose I will roughly, for entire form, where is that form? This is the Netflix form. Yeah. For this form, I'm just giving as a BG dark and padding 4. I'm just giving like that. And you see the appearance, it will be like this. I just given background black, and I want some gap. Actually, it is a large group. Large group means after giving input group, you have to give input group what? LG. LG means it will be little large. You want some gap between them. How you will give the gap between them? In two ways you can give. Either you can give margin right to text box, or you can give margin left to button. Then it will apply. You see now, where is the button? For this button, I will give margin S. Margin S means margin left. Margin left, how much? Some 2. And you see some gap will be there. We can apply that. That means it is an input group, but it looks like combined. That you generally do like this. So it's not necessary that input group always keep combined. Generally they split, they use little gap between them. And if you want to increase the size, you can just use LG for large and SM for small, right? This is a simple input group related example. I will copy this example for you. So these are all the important classes for forms. Form classes, input group classes. And another classes you have learned is about buttons, and another you learned about margins, padding. Some more basic classes which will be important for designing. Another important is text and background color. This is simple. You can just apply BG contextual. Contextual means what? Like primary, like danger, like warning, like this. And you have text contextual. You have text contextual, same. Primary, danger, success, warning, and all these you can apply. Text contextual is text color. BG contextual is background color. So you can simply apply background and text color by using these two options. So we can easily configure them. So these are the Bootstrap classes for background and text. In above example, I already used it. So when you design forms, error messages, success messages, colors you can easily apply, right? Suppose you are defining a text box, input type is text, class is equal to form control, some warning you want to display. Below I put a div and will have a class called text danger, and it will have like name required, something like this. This text danger, text success, text warning, these are all the colors. They are just colors, different colors for text you can apply. So for any container you want to apply some background color, you can apply class as BG primary. You can say text white, padding 3, margin 3 or 4, like this you can configure. Usually for containers we use background, the background color and foreground color. Yeah, that is text color and background color. Okay, let's see another option here. Actually arranging rows and columns. To arrange rows and columns, which option we use? To arrange into rows and columns, we use a display grid. Am I right? Right. So here in Bootstrap, you have to arrange in rows and columns. That means rows and columns. Because while designing forms, you need rows, columns arrangement also. Sometimes we keep side by side, one below another, rows and columns. For rows and columns, ready-made classes are there. We have row, and actually it configures a row, and we have col. It configures a fluid column. Fluid column is nothing but it will adjust according to window size. How much window size is there, it will adjust. No, it should be only some part of window, not complete window. Then how many fractions of columns you can give? How many fractions of columns we can give? 12. So you can use col and fraction. That means it sets column fractions from 1 to 12. That means col 1, col 2, col 3, like that. We can set the fractions. This is used for arranging information into rows and columns. If you want to arrange information into rows and columns, actually you don't need to design a table. Without designing a table, you can keep that very simple by using this. I will show with one real-time design now. We will discuss that. How they work, first I will show you here. See, if I want to design a row, let's see that. I will add another one. So in the public folder, yeah. I will add another one, Bootstrap rows. Okay, and here, every time it's mandatory to link your Bootstrap. So style sheet and href and node modules, Bootstrap dist css, bootstrap.css. Okay, make sure body have container fluid, and in this now let's create a simple first basic one. Actually what we do is we just keep a div. This is the main container. In this 2, this is call 1 and this is call 2 and this is call 3. Or Better, I will give you in a more simple way to understand existing content. Existing content means semantic. Let's create a section. In the section, we are having a nav, we are having a main, and we are having a aside. Aside like this we are having. And see, I want here, this is the word navigation, and yeah, and this is the word main, and this is the word aside. Usually it looks like this. It looks like this. I want to display in rows and columns. See what we have to do. First, if you want to arrange all these in a row, the section should have a class. It should have a class called row. And automatically you can see that they will be in a row, but we need to split them into columns. So this now I will give class as call, main is another call, and aside is another call. How many columns are there? 3 columns are there. You see now they are arranged. It's very simple. That means you put a row and you put just call for all of them. You put border, then you can see it more clear. I will give for row border 1 and border dark I will give. You can see this is the border. And for this section, margin I will give 2, all directions 2. And padding I will give 2, then padding also some gap. And for example, here I want main more, aside less, navigation less. You know how to do that. Huh? Now call, this is how much? 2. This call will be how much now? 8. And this call will be how much? 2. That means it will divide into like this. That means this is the navigation left side, and this is the main, and this. For them also you can apply border if you want. You can see them. Actually, section don't have a height. I will give here a style. For section, I am giving height as some 400 pixel. Then you see this is how it looks like. And navigation main and aside, if you want to see them clearly, for them also you can apply border. Now have border primary. So you can see there is a border like this. So for main, we are applying border and border danger, and you see it will be like this. And I will give margin S left side 2, and little gap will come. Right? Margin is not great. Padding. Padding S2, some gap will be displayed. And here last one, aside. Aside is how much? This also border, and we will give border danger or some success like this. You see it will display in this way. We can arrange the content in this way. That means arranging into rows and columns, you don't need any display grid or anything. Just you have to keep a row in that columns, right? This is an example for that. Usually syntax will be like this. We have a div, row, class is equal to row. If you want evenly distributed columns, you have to apply just call. This is one column, and this is another column. That is evenly distributed columns in a row. Evenly distributed columns. Now here, if you want different fractions, you can use another. So this is, first one is fluid columns. And this is another one, class row. And in this, we have a div class as some call to. And we have another div class as some call 7, like this. And then third, we will put as a class as what? Call for a. Like this, you can arrange. This is the row close. That means now how many columns are there? This is 3, 3 columns, right? So that is how you can arrange the columns according to your required width. These are fractions. Now let's see one small design now. First, one more option is good to understand is how to display flex, justify content center. Already we learned how to keep center screen. Here you have, I will apply this example. I will copy this, and that is done. Now you see here, we are going to apply another one. Let's see one real-time design. This is some website, HDFC Bank website is here. That's a HDFC Bank website. In this website, you see right side personal banking services, some small form is there. And it is having just only 2 drop downs and a button. That's very simple. Let's go, those also we will design. And here you can see, scroll down. So when I scroll down, there is some calculators. I will open calculators. Personal loan calculator, something like, let's open this personal loan calculator. Usually it looks like this. This is. So let's see how to design this. So how we can create this part, that box we are having. And to design this, you can use Bootstrap now. And by using Bootstrap, we can configure elements. You already know. How many rows here it is having? Actually, it is having 4 rows. In first row, it is having amount you need. In the second row, they kept only sliders. In the third row, they given titles. That means left, right arranged titles they given like this. And the fourth row have a button. Let's design this and see how we can create. So we will go to the design. We will design in this HTML Bootstrap combination, and we will implement in JavaScript. In JavaScript, we will make it work. That means in JavaScript, you are going to make it work. That means user selects how much amount he wants. User selects the interest rate. It calculates how much EMI it should pay and shows the result. We are going to implement the functionality for this in JavaScript. We will design here. We will implement functionality later. Functionality means what? You select amount you need. You select the tenure. You select the interest rate and you click on calculate button. It should calculate the amount, how much you need to pay every month. It should display. This value you are going to get in JavaScript. For that, you have to implement the formulas. That means actually it is a mathematical formula that need to be converted into a computer understandable formula. Then we need to show the result. This you are going to do. You are going to achieve in JavaScript. We will see how to do that. First, let's see the design, how you can create this now. Right? This is the EMI calculator design. And let's create the design and see. I will add a new file, EMI calculator. Okay. And in this EMI calculator, let's add the bootstrap. So I will say EMI calculator. Let's see, are there any icons required here? Only this box you are designing, so we don't need any icons. So we will link only relation is equal to style sheet. Href is what? Node modules, bootstrap, this CSS and bootstrap.cs. Okay, let's keep this container fluid and I will just keep a heading. So as a EMI calculator, okay, you can just put a class text center. That means it will keep text alignment center. Alignments, text, start, text, end, text center. So text alignment will be center. You see that this is the page you are having. Okay, now this is the original size. Fine. Now below this, I need a box. Below that, I need a container. That means we will put a div. For this div, we will put a class as margin sum 4, padding also 4. Margin all directions, padding all directions 4. And I will give as BG white. That means background white. For body, I will give BG some dark so that you can see this is what we are having. So that means the background is dark for body and the background is white for the div we are having. Okay, now let's see. These are ready-made classes we are applying. Now in this, we need to define how many rows you need here. So we need 4 rows. So we will create a div here first. In this div, we will create a class as what? Row. How many rows you need? Those you need to add. 1 row, another row, and class another row 3, 1 more. What is it? Row. Okay. In every row, how many columns are there? Let's see how many columns are there. First row, it is having 3 columns. In 1 column, amount you need. In another column for years. In another column, interest rate. 3 columns are there. Okay. So I will write here. What is it? Div. And this is class what? Call. They should be evenly distributed. So class as call. So we are not giving any size. The class as what? Call. Okay. What is the first column having? Amount you need, ampersand hash 8377 semicolon. That's a rupee symbol. After that, we have a input type as text. We will put size as some 4. Not 4, suppose like 10. And you can see that is the first row we are having. So amount you need, that is the first column we are having. First row, first column. Okay. Second column. So in the second column, so we are defining for input type is equal to text, size is equal to 4, and we will put years. This is another one for years. That is in the next column. In the second column, you are configuring for how many years. And last column, it is having. So this background is text dark, text white. BG dark, text white, so that it will be displayed. Achha, text white is affecting every area. In this div, we will give as text dark. Reversing. So I'm just reversing the content. Okay. So now last column is having. What is the last column we are having? Interest rate. Interest rate input type is equal. I can give a number. I can give a number, and we have min is some 10.32. So max is some 18.32 something. and we have fractions. So value is 10.32 like this. Here also default I will give some value as some 1. Here also I will give default some value as 10,000 something that we defined. That means we are configuring the values inside them by default. Roughly we are adding some value inside that it is displaying them. Okay, and 32 last we have to give percent symbol. This is the first column ready. First row is ready. We need to design another row. In that row we need 3 sliders for them, right? We need 3 sliders for this. Let's go to second row. This is the second row. Here also how many columns? 3 columns. Call. What is another one? Div. What is it? Class what? Call. What is another one? Div. What is that class? Call. Okay, what should be here? We have a slider. Input type is what? Range. For slider, what is the class? Form range. Because it looks different in appearance, not a traditional one. Same range I will give for all of them. Later in JavaScript, we will put a functionality. There we can put minimum, maximum and all. Currently, we are not concerned about that because it will not work. It is only design. And you see now, this row should have some gap above. Margin top I will give as 4. And you see the second row is here. And in the second row, usually I am giving here value. So usually they have a value. Value min is value is some how much? 0 or 1. Some 10,000 like this. Usually they have a min. Min is how much? 10,000. Max is some 10 lakh like that. You have some values you see like this. That means this slider will come from here. That means these are the sliders we are having. For these values we give accordingly. That means min is how much? 1. Max is how many years? 5. Value is how many? Default I kept 2. Then it will be like this. We can just add the sliders and configure the sliders. Okay. Next for range also min. Min is how much? Suppose 10.32. And max is how much? That is also some 18.32. Like this we are adding 32. That is fine. Okay, this is the next row we have. Now below that we need to add one more. Okay, here what is the design? You see one is 50,000, some 40 lakh. It's having like this. Arranged side by side, na? Right? They are arranged side by side. Actually, to define that, you have one span. This span is having amount. Okay, this row is also having how many columns? 3 columns. Call, another one. Div, class. What is it? Call, another div. Again what? Call. 3 columns. In first column, you have one span. It says starting value is ampersand hash 8377 semicolon. 10,000 is the starting value. Similar span, the 40 lakh is the ending value. Something like this we have. Usually they will display like this. But one should be left side, another should be right. There is a simple technique here. What you can do is you can apply a class float left, or float start actually. Float start means left. We can apply the class, another one, float end. End means what? Right. They will be like this. That's easy for them. One will be floating left, another one will be floating right. Now the same we need to apply for the second one. Okay, actually second one is having a span. This is 1 years. Another span how many years? 5. So class is what? Float. Float what? Start. And float start means left. Another one is float end. Float end means right. The second one is also ready. Same we need to give for the next one. So I will copy that and I will paste here. And this is like 10.32%. And here we say 18.32%. That's what we need to configure that. That is a basic alignment of left and right. You are placing left and right alignments. Now you need one more row, and I think this is done. Only button is there now. So we will put a class margin top 4, some gap, and in this you have to put a div. How many columns you need? 1. Then class is what? Call. In that we need a button. What is it? Calculate. What is the class? BTN and BTN what? Primary. It should be right side. Right side means we can give as actually this column should keep button right side. Then you have to use text end. Text end means text alignment right. That is the basic EMI calculator that you have seen in that website. That's the general approach of design. So wherever you see the forms, you can design by using Bootstrap very easily. So actually to design these kind of forms with alignments, design colors and all, it will take time because you have to write a lot of CSS. Now you are just applying the class and you see the number of styles that you written in the head is nothing. There is no style defined, everything just with classes. We just need to learn how to apply these classes in a proper way, right? This is one design for EMI, how we can create it. Now based on, I hope Amazon basic login is very simple. You can tell once. This is example for EMI calculator. I will just give that. Let's see here. Just fast overview of another one I will show you. For example, actually here they have any sign-in forms or registration. But these registration forms are very simple. They don't look complex. Even Amazon, suppose I show you Amazon and the sign-in. And this is the sign-in page you are having for Amazon. This is sign. It's very simple. It is very simple. It is having only few things in this, right? To create this one image, you can keep it. You copy the image and keep it center. But how to keep everything correctly center? To keep everything correctly center, actually we used some display styles, right? So here you can use some Bootstrap classes. I will show you here another one, 10. Display content center screen. To display content center screen, how to display any content center screen using Bootstrap. So for that, we have to use some classes. One is dflex. Dflex is what? Display flex. Justify content center. Align items center. That's it. You have to apply these 3 classes, then it will be center. But to keep vertically center, that container should have proper height. If container is having correct height, then you can do that. So if container is not having height, you cannot. Bootstrap have viewport heights. Later I will tell you. So you see, very simple actually. Suppose I'm keeping this a page. Suppose Bootstrap center. Okay. So let's attach the class and all these are basic things. I'm writing here center and link relation style sheet and href is node modules. Yeah. And we are having a bootstrap.css. Now say container fluid. And what I will do is by using style, I will give for body height as 100 VW, VH. We learnt already this. VH means viewport height. Body height will be adjusted. Now inside the body, I'm just having an container. In that container, I have an image. I'm having an image. Actually, this image is having like SRC coming from images, public images, and we have some image. So fashion1.jpg, width and height I defined like this. Usually the image looks like this. The image looks like this. I need to keep it correctly center on screen. Then usually what you do is for the body, you have to just apply D what? Flex. After that, justify content. What is it? Center. After that, align items. Align items what? Center. Then it is center. Just you need to apply the classes. You need to apply 3 classes. Deflex, justify content center, align item center. If you define that, any content will be center. Currently we kept an image. Suppose later there is a form. We have some data list. So suppose we have a data list, data term, some username, data definition like some text box, input type is text like this. And we have some password. So we have input type as what? Password. And you can see the form is center. And for form, you are applying some border is equal to border class. Class is equal to border. Border is what? Primary. Some rounded. So is 2. And you see it will be like this. And I will have some padding 2. Padding 2 will be there. And here I will put a simple heading like user login, and that is the header. Right? That means you have another option. What is that? Here inside this, you have a button. Button is what? Login. That is the button. So for button, we are applying the class. What is it? BTN warning and W100. W100 width 100. And for text boxes, what is it? For text boxes, we have to apply the class. What is it? Form control. For password, what it is? Form control. That's it. And this, they look like this. This is a form. Right? The width and height you can adjust. For example, for form, I'm giving W. W, how much? 25. That is the width of form. It is 100. That will be like this. Right? It depends how much you are configuring. This is a simple approach of design. Now, based on that, I will give you one task you try. Right? What you try is you try creating a form. This Amazon you can easily create now. You create a register form for Amazon. Amazon have a register form. You try to create that. New customer. Yeah. Create account. You try to design this form. Right? You try to design this form. Can you do it? Right? It's a very simple, nothing complex. Right? You have to try to create. And remember, suppose you are having label bold. Generally, these labels are created. I created by using data terms. Traditionally, how to create? We have to use a label element. For label element, if you want bold, suppose you are writing a label. Suppose user name. And usually that is the username we have. Yeah. And if you want username bold, and if it is a label, then you can apply class. Form label is there already, but it is not bold. Then you use font weight bold. FW bold. FW bold is what? Font weight bold. Then it will be bold. You can try that. You can use those options. You try to design an Amazon registration form. If you can do, that's very good. Then in the next level, we will discuss the other options. So now one more important is there. You need to learn how to design dynamic bootstrap. Dynamic bootstrap means a login form should pop up. A login form should be closable. Like that, you need to create some dynamic that you will see in the next session. Tomorrow, we will continue. Okay? Right.